Hey, what's going on, you guys? John here. So in this video, this is gonna be a really good video, and it's about where you should start as a first-time buyer. Should you buy a house, a condo, an apartment building? A lot of people, I think, just kind of wing it. They're like, you know what? Screw it. I can afford a condo. I can afford a house. I'm gonna buy a house. I feel like a winner with a nice house. Or I'm gonna buy an apartment building. But they don't really do the research and see how it all kind of works out long term. And I think in this ever-changing market, I mean, we look around right now, we have all these huge companies going bankrupt. The companies we would have never expected to go bankrupt. So that being said, I think we should all be thinking in survival mode, thinking long term, and thinking about which investment is going to be best for us, for our family, and for our future. So that being said, smash that like button, just destroy it. It lets YouTube know that you like the content. If you have any questions at all about anything that I'm saying, drop it in the comment section. I will always respond to everyone. Smash that subscribe button if you're a new subscriber. Let me know. I will personally welcome you to the channel. And yeah, let's start with the house. So let's say the house is $400,000. You buy it for 400, you have 20%, which is 80,000. You financed it at a 4% interest rate. I'm going to explain all the interest rate, like how this actually works. It's really simple. I know some people will go on and on about how a mortgage works, but it's really easy. I'm going to explain it here in this video. Let's say the condo is 300 grand. It's cheaper. It's 25% cheaper. You put 60 grand down, which is 20%. You finance $240,000. The apartment building, we'll say, is 400,000. It's a fourplex. You put 20% down and you financed 320 grand. So let's first start out with how this mortgage works.
The initial purchase price of $400,000, you had $80,000 saved up, and the mortgage that you got was a 4% mortgage. You could probably do better in this market depending on your credit. The better your credit score is, the more likely it is you're going to get a better interest rate, because basically your credit score communicates to the bank if you're high risk or low risk. And if you have a really good credit score, they're going to be much more inclined to give you a better loan because they're looking for reliable people that they can lend money to. So if your credit right now is under 700, even under 720, the goal should be to increase your credit score now while the market is still, overpriced. Because in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, that could all change. You want to be prepared. So getting that credit in a good spot is really going to help you secure a great mortgage. The difference of a quarter point on a loan of 30 years, it's astounding. It's absolutely astounding how much you'll spend in addition just because your credit isn't what it should be. I'm going to show you exactly kind of how this works right now. So basically, how this works is you take the bank out for dinner every single month over that quarter point. Every single month, 67, 66, and for 30 years, you're taking that bank out for dinner. And that kind of breaks down to like lunch around here, and yeah, all the way, 30 years. It's just not worth it when you can increase your score for most of the time for free. What you can do, I actually have a video on this, how you can increase your credit score to 800 for free. I'll put it in the description for you. All right, so $19.24 per month is your overall monthly payment. You pay $140 towards your insurance, $257 for property tax, and your principal and interest is $15.28 per month. That's what you pay every single month, is that $19.24. Plus, of course, you have utilities that I'm going to leave out. So over the life of the loan, the $320,000 that you borrowed, you're going to pay back an additional $229,982 over 30 years. Sounds like a lot. It's really not, because this interest here is a tax deduction every single month, as well as your property tax. That is also a tax deduction. So you can write those off. So this is a real good situation for you. You pay $461 in principal. So principal is the initial amount that you borrowed. So every single month, your payment, you start paying more and more principal, and you pay less and less interest. That's what when they say you're amortized over 40 years, that is exactly how it works. See how it goes down every single month? And so this goes up. every single month. They do this because they know that it's unlikely you're going to hold the property for 30 years. So they want to try to collect as much interest as they can in the beginning. Because if the average person lives in a house for 5 years, then around this period, you'll end up selling and they'll have already reaped the lion's share of the interest from you. So that's how the house works. With a condo is a little bit different.
So what's different about the condo versus the house is the house, you actually own the land that the property sits on. With the condo, you only own air rights. So you can't really dictate any rules outside of the four walls that you own inside of your unit. If you want to, let's say, move out one day or move in one day, you have to get approval from the HOA. And they basically are the principal in the school that is your building. So anything that you want to get done, you have to run through the HOA. And you technically pay this HOA. Every single month, you'll pay them a fee, your homeowners association fee. This can range anywhere from $100 to $200 to certain places could be $2,000 or $3,000 per month or more. It depends on the amenities, the building, kind of like what you get. And generally, the more you pay on your HOA is, the higher end your building generally is. The better the security, the better the amenities, things like that. And with the problem with the HOA is the HOA can go up every other year, or every year it can go up. They can vote on it and they can increase your fee. So that $200 or $300 or $500 that you pay every single month, that can just keep going up, 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 up. And they can also change the rules on you. If you want to rent that building or rent that unit, and let's say you want to switch it out from a long-term lease to Airbnb and they don't want Airbnb there, then that's a problem for you. Or if they don't want long-term leases, that's a problem for you. They can make this stuff up as they go along. So let's factor in, we'll use a rough number of about $300 per month for this HOA, and I'm gonna run down how this mortgage works on a condo and kind of what the long-term outlook is on that condo.
Okay, so the condo, you purchased it for $300,000, put $60,000 as a down payment. Your mortgage is $240,000. Interest rate is the same, 4%. It's a 30-year mortgage. 30-year mortgage. It's $1,443 per month is what your payment is. That does not include the HOA. So a $300 per month HOA, then you're at $1,750 roughly. So $1,750 comparison to the other property, which is $1,924. So you pay an extra roughly $150 to go from the condo to the house. In the house, you own the land. And same breakdown, interest gets lower every single month, and the principal, like what you actually borrowed, that goes up every single month. So you're paying more and more and more of what you're borrowing down. So over 30 years, your final payment, you're paying $1,140, and when you first started out, you are paying $346.
Another very big disadvantage to the condo is that, let's say that you buy this condo and you want to sell for whatever reason. You want to move to Miami or New York or wherever you want to go, but you need to sell your unit. And we're in a recession. So say you're in a recession, you own this unit, you want to get out from it. And you put it on the market, you try to sell it for $400,000. You're trying to make a $100,000 gross profit on it. Well, the market is well below what you bought the property for. So now what do you do? And how can they really determine that? Well, if you list the property, even if you want to sell it for say $400,000, try to make that profit. Say a buyer comes up and says, you know what, I'm going to pay $400,000. I'll put 20% down and I'm going to move forward. Well, the bank that's going to be issuing them that loan sends out an appraiser. That appraiser is going to look at what's called comps, which are really comparables, looking for comparable units in your building or around your area. And they're going to use those comparables to determine if your unit is a safe bet to lend on. And if, for example, you want 400 and everything in your building is selling for like 250 because it's in a depression, then you're stuck. You can't sell it. You can't sell it. Regardless of how nice your unit is, they're going to give you some bonuses and stuff like that. But ultimately, they're going to look at what the comps are in your building. And condos always hold up very poorly in a recession. And with a house, the main thing that you have going for you is owning that land. There's land value in owning land. Now here's where it gets really interesting. So the house, you bought this property, say the roof is halfway through, and normally a roof cycle is like 20 years, 25 years. So you bought it, you had 5 or 10 years left on the roof. and you replaced it once, and then at the end, 20 years later, you replaced it again. So you put $25,000 total into your roof repair. You remodeled the property 10 or 15 years after you bought it, full remodel, you spent $75,000 to do that. And then you had miscellaneous expenses, leaks and so on and so forth. Cost you another $25,000. All in expenses, $125,000 above your purchase price. Now with the condo, let's say, because since you don't have the same expenses that you would a house or a multifamily property, all you're really paying for is the remodel and your HOA. So HOA is $300 per month, which is $3,600 per year. Let's pretend that it doesn't go up at all. So $3,600 per year, and that brings you to $108,000 over 30 years. $108,000 just for the HOA. And then let's say you did a full remodel for $25,000, brings up to $133,000. And with the multi-unit property. So the multi-unit, you put 2 roofs on it, same as the house, and that cost you $25,000, and you remodeled both of your units twice. So you have 4 units total, you spend $10,000 per unit. So you spent $80,000 remodeling these over the course of 30 years. In addition, you had some miscellaneous expenses of $30,000, brings your total cost to $135,000. So almost the same as the condo to own 4 units compared to owning 1, and really comparable to the house, about $8,000 less than the house to own, manage, and operate 4 units. Now we're going to talk about what the eviction looks like and all the problems and issues that come about if you were to rent any of them, and what the long-term outcome would be for you as the landlord. All right, let's run down the situation of how this would play out if we were to rent all 3 of them. Because the goal here is moving our life forward in that direction of living a really nice lifestyle and saving money and making smart decisions. I mean, when this recession happens, you want to make a smart play, because that smart play is going to set you up for the rest of your life. You make the wrong play, then you wasted a good opportunity. So this deal right here is the mortgage is $1,941 a month. Let's say you rent it for $2,000 a month, and that leaves you a $59 per month gross profit. But reality is a tenant will move out at the end of the year. You're gonna have that 1 month period of vacancy, and when you do, it's a complete loss on that. So the condo here, it's $1,319 per month plus $300 in HOA fee, and it's gonna leave you just sub $400 a month in gross profit. Now at the end of the lease, the tenant's gonna move out. Say you only vacant 1 month, you're still in the green, but it's not by much, maybe $1,000 or so. The multi-unit property, however, is 4 units. You're renting each one for $1,000 per month. It's $4,000 per month in gross income, but you have expenses. It's not perfect. And you're gonna probably have 30% of your expenses. So of the entire year, you're gonna have $33,600 in net profit. So we're gonna remove 30% of your gross income to give you the net income. And that's gonna leave you a profit of almost $860 per month just holding and managing that 4-unit property. It's astounding. Now the benefit here, real benefit, is that rents increase on average 3% every single year. So here you're going 3%, so it's gonna be $2,060 roughly on the second year, which is good. And the condo, probably the same thing, another $60. However, you're gonna do 3% on 4 doors here, so you're gonna actually get double the increase, because you're gonna be taking 1 unit from $1,000 to $1,030. You're gonna do that on 4 doors in that building. So over time, it's gonna play out so much better. This is how it looks long term.
The chart from apartmentlist.com shows the discrepancy between real median rent and real household income. This starts at 1960, it ends in 2014. So if you look at 1960, they meet together, and every single year the tenant gets worse off and the landlord is better off. And even if you look at the recession periods, the trend is that rents continue climbing. During a recession, people are cash poor, so they're forced to rent, and that makes more demand for an apartment. So the apartment becomes a better commodity to have in a marketplace than a house. A house, people are downsizing away from the house and going somewhere that they can afford. And another major advantage to the apartment is the fact that you have you have scalability. So if you have one vacancy or two vacancies, you're still paying your bills, you're still staying afloat. If you have a house and you have no income coming in, your tenant can no longer pay, you have to come out of pocket to front that bill. So you take on much more risk with the house as a rental property.
All right, so at the end, looking at everything, I'm gonna go with the multi-unit without question, and for a variety of reasons. The first reason is that I like to play defense before I play offense. What I mean by that is if I go with the house and something happens and I no longer have money, I no longer have a source of income, get into a car accident, whatever it is, and the money that I have only lasts for so long, and so X amount of years later I'm completely broke, then what happens? Then I have no stream of income. However, same is true with the condo. However, the multi-units, something happens to me, I'm still gonna make money over and over and over again. I actually went on a vacation with a friend of mine who's a landlord, and he told me, this is probably 10 years ago, he told me, John, you know the difference between me and you, my job and your job? And I said, what? And he said, well, if I break my legs tomorrow, I'm completely fine. And at that time, I was doing real estate as an agent full time. That was my main thing back then, was being a real estate agent. And that's when I started really getting much more interested in the multifamily avenue. Now, this multi-unit building, the reality of this is that the worst case scenario is that the rents here double over 30 years, which is very, very, very conservative. So if rents now are $4,000 in gross monthly income, to have an $8,000 a month gross monthly income in 30 years, that's $96,000 a year in 30 years from now. I mean, I'm not sure how valuable $96,000 a year will be in 30 years from now, but it's a lot of money for simply just buying a property and holding it. A really good way to look at real estate is pretend a property is a bank account. And the benefit of real estate is that you can take 20% down, or whatever your down payment is, and go buy 5 times the value of that asset. So you can put 20% down on a $100,000 property, which is 20 grand, and then control a $100,000 property. It's amazing. This right here long term is gonna perform a lot better, I can guarantee you. The house eventually, if you run out of money or something happens, you're gonna have to sell that. Who knows where the market will be, and then you're gonna have to replace either a new property or an apartment. Whatever the case may be, you're gonna be on survival mode. With that apartment building, you're gonna be in a really, really good position. And if you really want that house, you really want a beautiful place to live, get the apartment building first, and then on the second deal or the third deal, then use the profits from your first building or second building and go buy a house and live there for free, live there off of the profit. And then what's gonna happen is all the money that you make at your job or business, you're gonna be able to pile into more investments, and over time, you'll create a tremendous amount of net worth. So please smash that like button, drop your comments in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts, and subscribe. If you're a new subscriber, let me know. I'll personally welcome you to the channel. All right, guys, until next time.